what we're going to do, because there is a lot of it this week, we're going to jump right into the patch notes, and we're going to be talking about all the fun things that have happened this week. So I'm going to pass the torch over to Frank, and he's going to tell us the news.
All right, everyone. So our first article this week is not an article, but in fact a plug. Mario and I got this news by hanging out and reacting to the event live with our friends over at PlayStation Source. That's youtube.com/PlayStation Source. Thanks again to Kevin Diaz for having us on. And Harv also had his own reaction live at his Twitch. That'll be twitch.tv.com/ switch.tv/the beard and hair. Sorry, I saw .com at the top and then read the bottom.
Put on a little bit of makeup.
Again, that's twitch.tv/the beard and hair, where you can find all his spicy takes as well. So this week, Sony had a state of play. Yesterday, Sony held a state of play, the first one since October of 2020. It had some smaller reveals and one bigger one, and was overall very short and very much to the point. What do we think, everyone? Fee, I'm actually going to give it to you on this one. What did you think? What did you think of the...
I thought it was okay. That's pretty much the extent of how I felt about the direct. I think the only thing I was slightly interested was Kina, Bridge of Spirit, because that seemed like something that I would enjoy. But overall, I just wasn't excited. And I remember, I think it was at the end, I posted in Harv's chat, I'm like, is this over? Like, what's happening? Because I had to go away for a second. I came back and I'm like, did he just accidentally switch over to just himself on his screen, and they're still doing the actual state of play? But apparently it was only 30 minutes. So that was my take, it was okay.
All right. Sly, what did you think of the PlayStation event?
Well, I think I'm the only one who didn't watch it live. I was in class. Boring, I know. So I went through the blog post with all the updates, and yeah, like Fee said, it was fine. Kina Bridge of Spirits looks pretty cool. Deathloop probably isn't my type of game, but that looked cool as well. So those are the two things that really stood out to me. But other than that, yeah, it was okay.
What are you buying out of any of those games? Like, is there any one of them where you're like, I need to buy that day one?
I'm not a big day one buyer. I'll wait to see how people I care about think of it.
That's fair. And then I just wanted to bring up that we did not get any Elden Ring news. But I do know that my buddy Harv here probably has some stuff to say about Final Fantasy VII, and hopefully that hyped up his demon soul.
Okay. First, Elden Ring. I don't want to talk about Elden Ring. I can't talk about Elden Ring anymore. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
That's fine.
It's the best ongoing joke ever. It's just every event happens. Is there going to be Elden Ring?
Yeah. And then my chat gets all hyped up because there might be Elden Ring, and I'm just like, guys, don't do this to me, please. I can only be hurt so much, you know.
It's like Half-Life 3. It's like when you get it, it's gonna be the sweetest thing in the world.
But Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, I think it's called, which is the Yuffie episode. When I first saw Yuffie, I was really excited. I was like, oh my god, are we going to see a Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 right now? Is this happening? And now seeing that it's just an Intergrade episode, I'm not expecting Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 now for another 3 years minimum.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which makes me kind of sad, and I was hoping for some news for it. I'm gonna play this. I'm buying this. I'm a Final Fantasy nerd, right? This is my kind of jam. So they've already got my money when it comes to this stuff.
No, for Harv, while I was very much in love with everything that they showed and excited to see new things, 100% that's not going to happen until we get at least 16. So my expectations are pretty set that we're not seeing that for a while.
Yeah, like one of the ongoing jokes that I have in my stream is like, are we gonna get Final Fantasy 16 first, or are we gonna get Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2 first? Like, I don't know what we're gonna get out of the two. and it seems like we're gonna get 16 before Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2. That's what we're looking at right now. The game looks great on PS5. It looks great. Hopefully they fix the doors. That's what I'm really hoping for. I hope we don't get PS2 doors.
It's funny. During the reaction live, I think one of the guys mentioned that the doors are not going to be circular. Or sorry, not going to be polygonal anymore.
Yeah. But honestly, I expected this from this state of play. They already said 30 minutes, 10 games, 10 deep dives into games. And I didn't expect God of War. I didn't expect Horizon. I didn't expect any of the big tentpole things. I wanted to see Returnal. I saw Returnal. It still hasn't sold me on it yet. I'm still on the fence. I need to see reviews on that. And then the other two were Sifu, which look really cool to me, and then Kenna, I think it's Kenna. I think it's called. That game looks so beautiful, and I can't wait for that game. And what Sly was saying about Deathloop, that was as James Bond ass trailer you could possibly get right there.
It was so cool.
And I think they've pretty much sold me on that game. So those are my highlights. And the Final Fantasy 7 remake stuff is cool. I am a huge Final Fantasy fan. I will buy it. I will play it. But I'm still disappointed that we didn't get anything for Remake Part 2.
Fair.
Yeah, I do want to preface, and yes, I will say my takes. If you own PS4 copy already, then you get the PS5 copy. You do have to buy Yuffie separately. That's a DLC that you have to buy. Mm-hmm. And it's a PS Plus game, but you only get the PS4 version. You don't get the upgrade later. Which sucks.
That's a little deceptive on their part. It's like, we're going to announce a thing where you get a free upgrade, and we're also going to give you the game for free for PlayStation Plus, but you got to pay the extra money for it.
Yeah.
Or even if you can, actually. I know eSponge was talking about, I wonder if they're even going to give you an upgrade path from the PlayStation Plus version to maybe pay some money to get the upgrade.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be unprecedented, so it's possible. Mm-hmm. I personally, you get a little hype when you're on these reacts, right? So you're in a group of people that are there for a specific reason. So yeah, you're going to definitely feel something. And I will say that I did have my expectations tempered, and I knew what I was going for. I knew that I was going to get, like you said, the big titles. I knew that we'll get something nice at the end of it at the very least, because they kind of do that. The last few ones have done that. Kenna looks so amazing that I cannot wait to play. It gave me Avatar vibes. It looks like a video game animation movie that I can enjoy and play. And I'm very much excited for what that does. Solar Ash is another game that I want to get into because I love the style of it, but I have not even played their first game, and I really want to. I own it on 2 different consoles. So Hyper Life Drifter, I definitely got to play that before I play Solar Ash, but it looks pretty. The game that I was surprised by was Sifu. Sifu, by the people that make Absolver. It looked like what we called Old Boy, the hallway fight in Old Boy or Daredevil, and it looked like a game, and I'm all in for it. It looks like so fun. The animation of it. I'm excited for that game specifically. But that's what I overall thought of this event.
Awesome. If you see me looking away here, it's because I'm trying to buy a 3070. It just got in stock again. I tried, man. It's impossible. Yeah, I thought the event was pretty great. At least in terms of if you thought the event was gonna be some big we're gonna show God of War 2, we're gonna show this, then obviously I can understand why people were a little disappointed. But after I heard it was only gonna be 30 minutes, I knew it wasn't gonna be heavy hitter. It's gonna be a bunch of smaller games and then one big heavy hitter at the end, more than likely. But I was super hyped to see some gameplay on Returnal. Before that, I haven't seen any gameplay on it. It's right up my alley. It's basically just run and gun, but in third person, just Doom Eternal kind of feels. Sifu looks amazing. Sifu looks awesome. I can't wait to play the crap out of that. And then Deathloop looks like the Dishonored 3 I've always wanted. It literally has the same gameplay. Except with the Groundhog Day mechanic, which I still don't understand. The trailers don't really explain the Groundhog Day feature here. You see it happen, but it's still kind of unclear on how it works. But other than that, I will finally play Final Fantasy VII Remake now that it's at 60 FPS. It's not gonna look like crap anymore. Did you see the lighting in that?
What?
I will fight you on that. It never looked like crap. There are elements that looked like poop, but it never looked like crap. I just want to say that specifically after beating the game.
I'm gonna die on my hill and say that everything but the character models looked kind of crappy.
Only the main
Lighting-wise.
character models looked really good. Everything else was kind of like whatever.
Go ahead, Harv.
What I was gonna say is like the lighting looks great in this
Mhm.
now. It looks really freaking good. If they could fix the doors, I will be happy. But yeah, the game running at 60 FPS is awesome. Like it looks really, really fluid. And like just seeing the upgrade of like all the character models and just like the fog mechanics and lighting and stuff. This is a game that's gonna be worth it to play on a PS5. Worth it to play on a PS5.
Yeah.
And if you guys have never played a Final Fantasy game, if you've never played one, this is probably a good start, honestly.
Yeah.
It takes action and it puts ATB system together. It puts the two together. I know Sly, you do you not agree with that?
I've watched people play through the story and it's just not for me. Like
Yeah.
that's all I have to say. It's just not
It's a
for
Final
me.
Fantasy story. It gets wild. It gets out there.
I just know that people aren't fans of the turn-based combat of the old Final Fantasy game, right? So like this is more action-based, so I feel like this might be more up people's alley kind of type thing. The story is still a little batshit crazy, and if you've never played the original Final Fantasy, at the end you're like, what?
Mhm.
But I think as an entry period, it might I think it's a good entry period because I think they're gonna go this way forward, right? Final Fantasy 16 kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
Yeah.
15 was already kind of like this, so yeah.
At the very least, it is a PlayStation Plus game. You can download it and try it out, and if you don't like it, you can delete it immediately.
Exactly. And then it isn't really PlayStation news, but there also is going to be a Switch version of Final Fantasy VII coming out. Oh, what was it again? It was mobile and Switch.
Yeah, Ever Crisis. No, it's
Ever
just iOS and Android right now, but
Okay.
it is something that looks like it could be on the Switch.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I want to play that. I want to play that really badly, but I don't want to play it on my phone.
I was gonna say, I was like, how's that game gonna? How's Final Fantasy VII Remake gonna play on the Switch? That's gonna be like 10 FPS.
No, not Final Fantasy. It's like,
Or your Switch
have you
would
seen
just
it?
combust.
Have you seen it yet?
So it looked.
The,
Yeah, have you seen it? It looks like, if you remember, there was a pocket edition of Final Fantasy 15. It's that, but Final Fantasy 7, the entire story. So it's going to be the first game and all the spin-offs, which is interesting.
Ooh, Crisis Core.
Yeah, literally they show up thing that has all of the different games on it.
Yeah, it looks really cool because it keeps the same style of the original game, but they've obviously made everything rendered in. They've updated the character models and everything. It still has the same combat. It still has turn-based combat. So it's another version of the remake that people kind of wanted for Final Fantasy VII. Because remember when like people were talking about how do you remake Final Fantasy VII? Do you do the Final Fantasy 15 stuff or do you do turn-based? Now you have both.
I think they just nailed Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat. I was like, this is perfect. Give me this. Give me more of this.
Alrighty then. So that was the PlayStation event. I mean, that was kind of the ones that we were excited about. Again, it was only a 30-minute event, so there wasn't too much on the table, but I know some of the Final Fantasy fans were completely ecstatic over the news of like 15 different Final Fantasy announcements in like less than 10 minutes. But we are going to move over to our next article, and our next article does come from gamesindustry.biz. President Biden orders a review of semiconductor shortage amid PS5, Xbox stock problems by James Batchelor. That was a weird sentence to read because it's like staggered a little bit on my screen. So everyone, the president can't get an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5, and when the president can get one, you best believe that they're going to throw money at it so they can. Jokes aside, President Biden is looking to push for a $37 billion billion to fund a legislation to kickstart semiconductor production in the United States. This comes off the heels of a 100-day review of supply chains for 4 very critical products, which include semiconductors. So this article doesn't sound like it's crazy gaming news, but hear me out here. Semiconductors are very important because they're literally the brain power of what we use. Whether you're trying to buy a GPU right now, whether you're trying to buy an Xbox, whether you're trying to buy a PlayStation, it is almost impossible because these manufacturers cannot get enough silicon to actually make these GPUs, make these CPUs, make anything. Everybody is affected by this right now, from AMD, Nvidia, Sony to Microsoft. So this is super important. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, superconductors are very important. They're in basically any technology. That's like phones, fridges, washing machines, like anything that has any sort of like smart component to it or whatever is being affected. So I don't know. I didn't look too much into the back end of what this legislation is going to look like, but I mean, it's good that somebody's doing something about this to help kind of kickstart all of that electronic manufacturing growth.
Because I remember when the PS5 was about to release, I think it was like me, Frank, Sly, and Fee in the Discord. Just like I know Sly and I were like trying our hardest, and I think Frank as well. I know you, Frank and Mario, you guys got yours pretty quickly.
Yeah, we got lucky, and GameStop called us. We can't. The employee that called us is not working there anymore, so we can say it. But they called us and said, "Hey, pre-orders are going to start in like 20 minutes," and we're like, "Bet we're getting sushi at the time." So we got over there and got like one of the last 3 of them.
Sly and I were like feverishly refreshing and stuff like that. Like I had a horrible story for that. Like it was terrible for me, but like. Yeah, finding a PS5 and even an Xbox Series X right now is like nearly impossible. Like every time you see like Wario 64 posting on this, kind of like saying like, oh, the PlayStation's about to have a queue and stuff, they're just sold out instantly sold out. So like it's good that people are starting to look into it now, especially like the government's starting to look into it. It's like, why is this happening? Because like it's not just the consoles now, like you were saying, it's the GPUs that are getting hit, CPUs getting hit, everything is getting hit by this. So like it's good that somebody's actually taking a note for it, because man, it's one of my friends was talking to me about buying a computer, and he wanted to just he wanted to buy like all the pieces and stuff. And I straight up told him, I was like, buy a pre-built computer at this point.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest way you're going to get a 30 series card for a 30 series.
Yeah, you might pay a little bit more, but at least you're getting one. At least it's better than giving it to a scalper at this point.
Yeah.
Just to like it's insane, because I'm trying to buy a 3080 or a 3070, and I have to be subscribed to like 15 different of these like stock info things. And as soon as a stock pops up, you can literally see right under it that like hundreds of people are reacting to just this notification, and you're fighting against 100 people clicking on the same link on Amazon at like a millisecond of a time. It's insane how unavailable this stuff is, and that it's not even just semiconductors. Large vehicle batteries are apparently part of the big supply chain problems, rare earth minerals, and pharmaceuticals, which is worrying. That last one's more worrying than GPUs and CPUs. But
Yeah.
Well, hopefully after this, Fee will finally be able to get a new computer.
Yeah, I mean, good luck getting a third. I know you were talking about like building a computer. I'm just like, don't. There's no point. Getting a 3070 or even a 3080 right now is impossible.
Well, it just like for me, like I'll see people online and they're making computers and they're like, I got my 3070. I'm like, where? Who did you have to like be friends with? And like how much money did you have to spend to get that 3070? Because I cannot for the life of me, one, find a freaking computer that has one. Because right now, the second that they go online, they're like sold out, or they're just not in my location in Halifax, or they're just non-existent. And there's so many websites that have like a ton of different options, or like 3070 by this particular company, sold out and sold out and sold out. There are people online, because I was looking the other day just out of sheer curiosity, just on like the Facebook marketplace. There are people that you can pay per month to go hunting for these for you. So you pay them to
What?
refresh these pages and look through all these websites, and they will buy it for you, and then you have to pay a specific premium when they like put in this order for you.
It's
Like, it is
insane.
bonkers.
Yeah.
And I would love, like, right now I'm the only one sitting in this podcast that, one, does not have a PlayStation 5, and two, I do not have a computer that functions well. So I'm just sitting here as the odd man out. Hopefully, like, right now my priorities, as much as PlayStation's great, it's new computer and then PlayStation.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that I get a new computer in the next month or so, and then I can start hunting for a PlayStation, because I can only handle one stress and not two.
Valid.
And then Mario, I know you were trying to get a Series X very recently. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, someone linked me to a link for Walmart, and they were going to give away at a certain time, and I was there, and the link didn't refresh in the proper way, and the only way you could get it, and it wasn't like buy now, like buy it flat out. No, you had to go through the all access option, which is technically financing. So they denied me. So I couldn't. And I wanted to just buy the whole thing. I was like, I'll just buy the whole thing. Just let me pay for it.
I got the
And
money. Just give it to me.
I would love to give you the money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that did not go well at all. I do still want a Series X, so let me know if in the chat, or if you want to buy it for me, and then I'll pay you back. Just let me know.
Yeah, one of the things I did want to bring up was a lot of these companies are doing these raffles, and it's very weird. Newegg was doing one for some 3070s yesterday, and I kind of gave up because I didn't want to pay an extra $200 for a 3070. But it's basically like you go to this website, you wait like an hour for the website to open. You like choose what you want. You wait for an hour for the website to open, and then you enter a raffle, which then they contact you an hour later to email you to let you know that you can buy the item, and you only have a certain amount of time to buy the item. It's a very weird system, and I know PlayStation 5s were on there yesterday, at least on the Newegg auction. So it's a way to stop scalpers, I guess. But
I was gonna say it's a way to like it's a way, I
but
guess.
scalpers are gonna
Yeah.
participate.
Scalpers are gonna scalp, you know.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, because like PlayStation has like their PlayStation queue usually now, and then like they actually like let you know when the queue is about to begin now, instead of like, oh, the queue's up, everybody come over
Yeah.
here. Like, no, the queue's gonna start in about 10 minutes. Everybody get ready. So like at least they're giving some sort of heads up and stuff like that. But like I 100% agree. There should be a better way of doing this. But you know, I don't see this changing until probably late 2021.
Oh yeah, like May, June, July, maybe we'll finally
Even
start
later
seeing some
that?
decent stock.
Even later
But-
than that, I would think like October, and then it's gonna be Christmas time again.
Mm.
Computers might be a little bit different, fee. Computers
Yeah.
might be a little bit different.
On the
But like,
CPU
I'm
front,
I'm saying though, if you see a PC, buy it.
yeah, on the CPU front, I seen Ryzen CPUs are starting to become more and more available. At least the Micro Center that here in Chicago has at least 25, which is promising because last week they had 0. So it's good. But yeah, hopefully by the end of the year we'll start seeing some stock. Hopefully few finally have a computer that doesn't hate her. I will have a computer that is better than what I currently have, even though what I currently have is perfectly fine. Mario will have a Series X, and Harv will have an Elden Ring announcement.
I just went through a series of emotions that I was just like a roller coaster. Like you started with Elden Ring, I got sad, and then you said you might get it at some point. I was like, oh yay!
And our final article this week comes from Kotaku. Sony's illustrious Japan studio is basically done for, by Luke Plunkett. The Sony Japan studio, whose projects include Bloodborne and Knack, have been downsized to nearly nothing left. The only ones left who remain are the studio team behind Astro's Playroom, who will be moved to their own team starting April 1st. Mario, I know you had something to say about this, so I'll hand it off to you.
Rest in peace, Bloodborne. Rest in peace, Parappa the Rapper, Ape Escape, Gravity Rush. This is the studio that brought us all these wonderful games, and it is sad to see it go because it's been there since the beginning. It's been
His tenure.
Has a lot of tenure. So, but Team Asobi is sticking around, so we still will get Astro's Playroom. So I'm very happy that still gets to continue, but sadly at the cost of so much. So yeah, no, this sucks in a lot of ways, but coronavirus, business deals, whatever it ended up being, some things have to give, and sadly this might have been one of them. To be honest, the last several games that they've done outside of Playroom, even though that was given away for free, haven't been doing so well. I know that Bloodborne is the exception, but Bloodborne's also, if I'm not mistaken, from software. Am I right on that?
It's from software with, I think, some sort of like help with Japan Studios, but it is it's a from software game.
Yeah, and I think they also helped with Blue Point when they did the
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus. So it like I said, it's a legacy that you would hate to say goodbye to, but sometimes this happens, and we just have to move on. We can grieve for this, but if we're grieving, we're loving this thing. I'm trying to do a WandaVision thing. Doesn't matter. Continue. Yeah. Well, sorry. Goodbye, Japan Studios.
Sly, do you have any games on here from Japan Studios that you absolutely adored or missed them for?
Really? I most of the games I play are artsy indie games. So, that's where my heart is. But it's definitely sad. I know they made so many games that are so beloved by so many people. And just because that's not necessarily me doesn't mean that this isn't a sad occurrence to hear about. So I think Mario put it best. Like there's a lot of great titles there, and it's sad to see them go.
Yeah, there's so much tenure there that it's just, man. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like we've seen more closures now that we see like more studios popping up in the last little while, and it kind of sucks to see.
Fee, any games on here? I do have a list in the doc of like some of the games that they're well known for. Any thoughts on the whole, closure or anything like that?
Well, obviously, as the mega Demon Souls / Bloodborne professional player that I am,
Yeah,
no one else
you
plays these games.
did sub 1 hour on Sekiro, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's insane.
Man, it
like
was
even
great.
Harv's struggling on that.
Yeah, and every time I went to her stream, she was always in the same spot. Like I just don't understand it. She's like
I don't
always in the same
understand.
spot.
I love podcasts with callbacks.
And no, in all honesty, I enjoyed like those types of styles of games as much as I'm not actually. Shocker, I know I just said I was a professional. I lied to all of you again.
Bold-faced
I'm
lie, how
actually
dare
not.
you.
Bold-faced lie. I'm just
Oh,
the entire.
fucking dare you.
I know. How dare I? No, but in all seriousness, a great loss for PlayStation. I know it's been kind of happening with other um, groups as well. Obviously, since earlier on this year we saw Stadia, the two studios closing, and now we're seeing this particular studio kind of just reduce one particular group, a very small one at that. So it's definitely sad to see that. Hopefully, we do see these creators find um, a new path in different other studios. There's definitely a lot currently, but it is definitely a sad time to see something such as this, especially with how much tenure they had to have to take this particular route.
And then Harv.
I mean,
I saved
for
the best
me-
for last because I know.
I don't put Bloodborne on like Japan Studios. I think I wouldn't put the onus on them for Bloodborne. That's more from software in my opinion. But when it comes to like Shadow of the Colossus, that's an important game, right? That is a massive game that came
Yeah.
out, and they had like that was pretty much I think developed by them, right? Japan Studios. So it's something like that, like one of those games that resonates from generation to generation, and it's like those kind of games that I wouldn't miss for them to make and stuff like that. But like, it sucks, but this kind of stuff happens, and I feel for people that have like lost their jobs, especially during this time, which really really does suck. But I'm hoping everybody lands on their feet, and it just sucks just seeing another studio go. Honestly, it just sucks seeing another studio go.
Yeah, it sucks to see a
Yeah.
studio go that arguably helped shape what PlayStation is today. I know a lot of these titles on here are not necessarily the biggest titles in the world. Like, they're not God of War, they're not Metal Gear Solid, they're not any of those, or Final Fantasy. They're not any of those like big PlayStation titles that you kind of remember. But Parappa the Rapper is still an insanely fun game, and when you think PlayStation, you do remember Parappa the Rapper or Ape Escape or Shadow of the Colossus, Wild Arms, all these different things. Rule of Rose was one of my favorites on the list. Was just like, I didn't even know that studio even did Rule of Rose. It's a really good horror game. Really expensive to find, but if you can pirate it, I would suggest it because nobody wants to pay $90 for a game in 2021. But yeah, that's basically it for the news, guys.
We do that every time that we're in Canada. We pay $100 for games.
Oh man.
Jesus
I
Christ.
found a copy of Rule of Rose on eBay for like $300. I was just like, I'm not paying for this, dude.
That's just the world we live in over here in Canada, dude.
Yeah. Well, RIP
Yeah.
Sony Japan. You will be missed.